So it's Saturday morning, and I'm on my way out to the Glider Club right now for my monthly duty. I'm going to be flying the Towplane today, which is a lot of fun. You're flying an old prop duster, and you get to pull gliders in the air. It's a Saturday morning, nice and calm. Mornings are great for training, especially if you're brand new to flying gliders. The air is so smooth, you don't get confused between bumps in the air and your own control inputs. And so you know very easily what you're doing and how it affects the glider. And so I think mornings are absolutely the best for training. And if you're brand new, you want to go first thing in the morning. So that's exactly why we go out there nice and early, so that way new students can have a chance to fly in that nice, calm, still air. Now that background rumble that you're hearing when my engine isn't on, my propeller isn't spinning, that's actually somebody getting ready to take off in their airplane. They flew into the Glider Club, which can be really fun to do. Clear prop! It's just so fun to close those doors. There's one on each side. I just love doing it every time. Now I received the take up slack signal from behind, so I'm pulling forward to get the slack out, and then I waggle my rudder to indicate that I am ready to take off, and I'm looking in the rear view mirrors on the side until when they give me the ready for takeoff. Okay, now I'm pulling forward. You want to get up on two wheels, so you can see I'm just putting my stick forward, and that'll lift the tail up, and the nose comes down. Okay, and then I relax, and I'm speeding up along the takeoff strip. Gets a little bumpy towards the end there. The runway isn't exactly perfectly smooth. And then I don't want to climb immediately. What I want to do is I want to get up to the tow speed, which is about 65 knots. Everybody wants to tow at about 65 knots. Some people want to go 5 knots faster, some 5 knots slower. 65 knots is just basically the perfect tow speed, which is 75 miles an hour on the airspeed indicator. It's got both, but it's an older airspeed indicator that shows miles an hour first. Now when you're towing, you always have to think about who's behind you. You could have a brand new student who is not very good at turning yet, so you want to make those turns gentle unless they ask for more aggressive turns. Also, you need to turn fairly soon after you've taken off, because you don't want to drag them halfway across the desert, and so they get really far away from the field if they have to disconnect for whatever reason, or they're just doing an intentional practice rope break maneuver. Generally, you want to keep your turns to 90 degrees, because students will get a little discombobulated in the turns. If you keep the turn going long enough, they can really get out of position. But if you keep it to 90 degrees, it gives them kind of time to get reset in between turns. So you just turn 90 degrees twice if you need to be going the opposite direction. And we're always doing a standard tow pattern whenever you're towing. We do 2 left turns, so we're doing a left downwind. That gives the student and instructor the chance, if they want to turn it into a
rope brake. They're close enough that they can do that. If they want to turn it into a pattern tow, they have to get off for some reason. They're right there in the pattern. They can just continue on with that pattern tow just as standard. We'll go past a little bit farther downwind than I would, if I were landing. Go out here, and then we'll do right turns, and that'll get us away from the traffic pattern as we go. Then as we get higher up, they can do any maneuvers, slack line, boxing the wake, or any other maneuvers they want to do, which they're going to do boxing the wake on this flight. Now I'm turning to the west. If you look in the bottom right corner there, you can see some dark hills that I'm going to be turning past. This will further get us a little away from the traffic pattern. Those are the dark hills. Just call them the Black Hills, because glider pilots are so imaginative and come up with such good names. Consistently get thermals there. Now we're up high enough, we're above the traffic pattern, we're far enough away, but they're going to be able to start doing their boxing the wake, which is a performance maneuver, and it shows mastery that you can control yourself on aero tow. And really what it is, it's a form of formation flying. You're flying at a set distance from the aircraft. You need to match position and speed and be able to maneuver around them, and that's what boxing the wake is. Now, when he starts boxing the wake, he initially goes down. And so in response to that, it's going to start pulling my nose up. So I've really got to start pushing the stick forward. And then as he moves around to the left side first and then to the right side, I've got to be compensating for that because it wants to pull my nose over. And I'm just trying to fly in a straight line and be a very stable platform while he's boxing around the wake. If he goes down, it'll pull my nose up and I'll start slowing down. If goes to the left, it'll start pulling my nose to the right, and I don't want to do a turn. I want to just be a nice stable platform while he's doing that. Now we're getting up to the standard 3,000 feet for the release. So he's releasing, and he's going to turn to the right and stay at the same altitude or climb a little, and I'm going to turn to the left and descend back to the field. So I'll nose over, and I'll also reduce power quite a bit, so that way I can get down. You want to get ready for the next person who wants to tow. So if you look at my VSI, I'm going down like 2,000 feet a minute right now. Low power and, nosed over and stuff like that. Don't want to speed up, so we reduce power. And then we'll just kind of do a modified pattern. You see the glider port right there ahead of us. I'm going to kind of come in right into the downwind, then I'm going to turn the other direction. We land opposite direction of towplane and glider, so that way the gliders can have plenty of space to land on either runway 26 left, which is kind of the standard training place where they're going to land, or 26 right. And then I'm going to go turn right downwind, and I'll be landing on 8 right. So that lets people use both ends of the runway. Can maybe hear in the background there, I'm doing my standard radio calls. Downwind base final. With an instructor, if the first thing that goes is your speech. And so I know a student is getting tired and overwhelmed when they stop making radio calls or stop responding really well in the cockpit. So if you're doing your radio calls, I know you're on top of things. Now, I'm not going to land on the very beginning of the runway because I've got a 200-foot rope hauling behind me, and it can catch on the barbed wire fence, it can damage the rope, it can damage the fence. So I'm going to just land a little bit further down the runway and touch down there. And then that's the moment of touchdown. It's a gravel strip, so it's a little bit of a bounce. Then once you're down, you just taxi down the runway so that we can get set back up again. You're going to see, as I get down to the takeoff portion of runway 26, you're going to see there's another glider already on the ground waiting for a tow. It's starting to get close to noon, and so it's getting warm, and you pop those windows whenever you can and get a little bit of flow. Really bad in the summer, obviously, but even in the winter, when you're in that greenhouse, it'll get warm. And so by the end, I pulled off my sweatshirt because it was getting too warm, even in December. There is Brianna. She was our youth assistant line chief. She was recovering the rope. She's got a little shepherd's crook, a little PVC pipe shepherd's crook. She grabs the rope and pulls it back. She did also doing the wing running. She did a great job that day. After she grabs the rope, I'm going to pull forward just like I am here, so that way it straightens out the whole rope. After every tow, you always mark down what your release altitude was. You mark at the beginning when you're starting. You mark which glider you have behind you and the time that you take off. We got a little digital clock there on the top of the upper right portion of the instrument panel there, just to mark the time, so that way the right release altitude goes with the right glider, so that way people get billed the right amount. I was getting a little low on gas, not low on gas, but just getting ready for the next tow pilot. There was a bit of a lull in operation, so I released the tow rope there, and now I'm just taxiing down the runway. I'm going to go over to the fuel farm. You're going to see I'm taxiing past the clubhouse. There's the tetrahedron right there, the orange tetrahedron on the right, and I'm going to go around that to get back over to our fuel farm, which is right next to our hangar where we keep the tow planes. So I'm going around. There's the segmented circle. Tetrahedron's in the middle of that. And there's the hangar. Somebody had brought in their RANs, flown it in. John, he was actually used to work at Piper, and back when they were making Pawnees new. And so we had a good conversation about that, and I got to tell him that they're still making Piper Pawnees down in Argentina, and he that was news to him. He hadn't heard that. There's the big fuel farm. Pulling right up to the big fuel tank where we have our nav gas. Okay. Pull up, stop, and now I'm going to shut down. And I get a kick out of getting out of the little steel roll cage every single time. It's just so much fun. You wear that Pawnee like it was clothes.
when you're towing a lot, you still have to fuel up the tow plane in between rounds of tows. Use a lot of gas carrying all the weight up of that glider. So now we're gonna fill up. Just filling up the tanks. 18 gallons of 100 low lead is what each tank holds. Airplane is already grounded before I started filling up. So always want to make sure you're doing it safely. When you're filling up, if it's quiet like it is out here, I'm listening to the sound because it just sounds like, you know, any other container of liquid as it fills up. And so you listen for that pitch for when it starts getting full.
I've had a bunch of new students recently who they go to fill up an aircraft for the first time, and they end up always spilling fuel out on the ground, overfilling it. And so I just want you to hear that pitch change as it gets higher and higher as it gets close to the end.
I can hear the pitch increasing.
I'm a fairly short guy, and those wings are pretty high off the ground, so I can't see into that tank. I need to listen to what the pitch sounds like as it gets fuller and fuller.
And you don't really want to spill a drop if you can avoid it. So tow pilot duty is over now. Heading back home after towing in the morning. The afternoon tow pilot came out and relieved me, and he took over. Heading back now, back home again. Haven't towed in a while. It's always really fun. It's a rewarding, enjoyable experience. As you saw in the video, you know, a lot of different training going on today. Rope breaks, steep turns, people boxing the wake, people doing slack line, pattern tows, high tows, students going solo, with multiple different kinds of gliders. But it's just fun. Flying the tow plane is fun, and it's one of those things that is really enjoyable to do. You guys will have to tell me what you thought of the video. I took it in a couple of different mounting locations. You have to tell me which one is the best and which one you found most instructive. I could definitely mix that up on future videos and show you guys a different view of the tow plane to see the cockpit view better. I think the last one I had was a pretty good view, but there are some other options still. Okay, take it easy, guys. Bye.